Catfish and the Bottlemen's supercharged performances and roaring real-life anthems have gained them fans from Manchester to Melbourne, London to Los Angeles, Newcastle-on-Tyne to Tokyo, and everywhere in between. The arena-filling rock band have played to over 2 million people around the globe and sold over 6.5 million records. From their early guerrilla tactics, throwing demos on stages, jamming them under car windscreen wipers, and a never-ending gig schedule, to platinum sales and headlining festivals. 10 years since uploading their early demos to BBC Introducing, here we are to remember 10 key moments through that journey.
Catfish and the Bottlemen, welcome. We got Bob, we got Bondi, we got Benji and Van with us right now. The point where we're going to start off is your first performance at Reading and Leeds.
Yeah.
2013, BBC Introducing stage. I think we should watch a little bit and see if we can jog from memory.
I said,
You know what I love about this?
My haircut.
Your haircut.
It's just funny seeing how, you know, all the old amps and all the old guitars and stuff.
Can you remember that performance at all, or is it all just a bit of a blur?
It was the first time we'd ever got to play Reading and Leeds, been offered that slot by Introducing. I remember slogging all the gear through the mud.
That was my memory. Literally across the festival site, in the middle of all the punters. It was just
so no one to help you out or anything. No. You're on your own at this point.
Didn't know where we were going, to be honest.
I was always like 5 years ahead of myself. Like, I'm going to use all my own gear. Like, but with that meant I then had to trudge it all through the mud.
And it was like, I think we only got 5 or 6 songs set list, like 20-25-minute set. And I think I went through 3 guitars and the strings kept breaking because, as I say, we're doing all the gear ourselves then. I couldn't string a guitar for life. So.
Am I right in saying, so you uploaded to Introducing, but you actually got played on the BBC before that point?
Yeah.
Is that right? What?
Steve Lamo,
Mr.
Lamac. Yeah, so he just seen us going, I think he just seen us trying to get heard and send a demo in, and I think he seen the band name and it stuck out to him. The next thing, my phone was ringing. I was on the before footy practice. He was like, Steve Lamac here, have you got a minute? And I was like, yeah, all right. And then told us to hype up the band for a couple of minutes on the radio, and that was our first play, and everyone was buzzing off it around the town and like in our group of friends and family, stuff like that. So after that, yeah, it was just, we'd start like giving demos out to as many people, turn up to Introducing shows like in Wales and stuff like that, try and meet people with and get on the bill. So that was our first slot, really, the Reading Leeds one, that we got offered by the Introducing team.
anything that I said, and take me out back, show me real dog, cause I got some lies to tell. Thank you.
So the second moment that we're going to talk about now is your appearances at MAIDA VALE.
Yeah.
Legendary MAIDA VALE, of course. I believe the first one was with Hugh Stevens. Any recollection of that and how that experience was?
We had like 1 goal and it was like where it's going now, and it's still ongoing. The goal's still like halfway through, but at the time it was just smash this one and then on to the next one. And when it comes to playing the radio for the first time, I remember that being a weird thing because you knew everyone at home was just had you on, and because you got the headphones and you can hear everything.
And so fast forward to this year, 2019,
yeah.
You're releasing your brand new album and you're doing a session with Annie Mac down at MAIDA VALE. And this one must feel quite different.
That was ace, that one.
To that first one.
We got to bring a giant toucan into that one, got to bring our own lights in and stuff. Yeah. Before we didn't even have our own flight cases, never mind lights.
I like the room there that Annie had set a studio up in another room to do her show live from there. Yeah. And it was the room where they do all the they're called Foley sounds. For like it was like the Radio 4 shows, so they got all the different squeaking doors and gravel and stuff like that. That was fun. I would like the entire interview for just to have had her introduce us.
Throwing us through
sound
windows
like we're coming through about 10 different doors.
You want all the sound effects rolling.
But that session was good. We did one before it as well. We did one for Annie that wasn't filmed. I think it was just on radio, which was good. And she was in the other studio, so we were all behind a glass. And so she was speaking to us from somewhere else and we were playing. So that was pretty funny, because we were all just like in the glass looking at each other, but no one else was in the room with us. So we had like MAIDA VALE to ourselves.
like a bit of an institution now. I mean, they had the Beatles live sessions there and stuff like that, and you're walking down the corridor and you see like one of the big orchestral rooms set up with all the violins laid out, and you're just like, well, there's like proper musicians in here.
So, MAIDA VALE happened. You've made your name, Reading and Leeds as well. Things are going along nicely. You start to become a bit of a namestay with the BBC and in general as well, and you're pulling in bigger and bigger crowds to the point now where the BBC Music Awards are happening, and you guys get asked to perform as well as winning an award at exactly the same time. Get to make your first ever major TV appearance. Do you remember getting a phone call for that one?
I don't know about the phone call, but we got...
Dropbox update. Probably.
Yeah, we got probably email. It's in this weevy on Friday. But yeah, that was our first kind of awards thing, wasn't it?
I think that's still the best looking award I've seen. It's the big gold radio mic. Because do you remember we were... That was just before we started the tour. And the next night we're playing the Rescue Rooms in Nottingham. We stuck it on an amp and had a spotlight crank on like the beginning of Mr. Bean at the beginning of the game.
Wow, you guys really changed.
One award overnight.
Where is that award?
On my dad's fridge.
Obviously it's lovely to be appreciated and be recognised, but for Catfish and the Bottlemen, do they run through your head at all? Is it like, oh, it'd be good to win this, it'd be nice to do this? Or are they just the kind of icing on the cake when it...
For us, I think we always talk about it'd be good to play there. It'd be good to, one day, like we say about like a Red Rocks or a Madison Square Garden or back here, like all the stuff we've done now, say in Scotland or whatever, every show you want us to do up there, we've done apart from taking it outdoors. So, and we've always wanted to be able to do that, get all the UK arenas, get from the bottom of the ladder right to the top of it and then take it outside. We love those big outdoor shows you can do.
Like all being live-based, I guess, we're saying maybe awards that were more in tune to like, an award for being a good live band.
It's sort of like the venues are more like the benchmark things than awards. So that for me is like the big sort of payoff of what we're doing.
For moment 4, we're going to move into Radio 1's Big Weekend.
It was ace getting to headline it because, like we say, we were doing the introducing stages for you guys mid-bill, and then we got to climb to the headline slot there. And then I think the next time we did it was when Sam Smith couldn't do it and they'd give us the main stage slot.
Amazing.
So we turned up in the middle of all these acts and no one knew we were, but we had the massive crowd there. So it was one of the moments like the first Reading Leeds, I guess, where it was, let's show people who've never heard of us before what we can do.
So after Glasgow, when you made your debut, it was Exeter, and I think when you played Exeter in 2016, that was a week before The Ride went to #1.
That was again a quick time because I think we went in straight after we recorded that first album, toured it for a year, went straight into the studio without having any time off, and then got that out straight to England, did a load of shows like Big Weekend. So it was all too quick to realise what was going on just for that like week or two when it was #1. It was kind of just everyone else telling you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're very kind.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but I think it might have been during one of your first tours in America. BBC Introducing followed you round for a few different shows. To kind of
that was.
Say again?
I'm joking.
You don't remember it?
No, I do.
You do, yeah, you definitely remember it. They followed you around to just kind of get a feel of what it's like for a new British band going over to America for the first ever time. If you don't remember it, I reckon let's watch a little bit and then we can, hopefully it'll jog your memory.
I don't have a clue what any of this is.
You can't remember at all.
How you doing? This is Sideshow Bob, best drummer on the planet. Bob's Bunk, Golden Boy Mike's Bunk.
I've followed them on tour 3 times now in the last 18 months, 2 years.
Your name, you won't get through. You wait for me.
Okay, next moment we need to talk about, I think, definitely, is your Tea in the Park shows, which, as a festival, obviously then became TRNSMT Festival as well.
The one this year was one of my favourite shows we've ever done, that TRNSMT headline.
That felt like a defining one. I mean, like the other 2 days, there was it Kings of Leon one night, I think Stormzy the other.
Yeah.
So it would be like sandwiched between that, had its own sort of merit that came with it.
Yeah.
And then Richard Ashcroft was on before us.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were doing interviews and stuff during the time he was playing, and you're hearing like all them shoes, and it's sort of like, how we're meant to follow?
Yeah,
So you said defining moment. Why was it such a defining moment for Catfish and the Bottlemen?
I think just walking out there, I think it was, what was it, 40, 50,000 people. And we were getting to top of the bill there. And we've got a song on the ride called Glasgow, we only ever play it when we're there. So when you play that and it's just me stood there with a guitar, like, thinking, what's going on here? Like, so they sing every lyric of that. And I don't know, there's something about, obviously everyone says about the Scottish crowds, there's that, the fact that they're singing every single tune back to you.
For you guys, it's just been so relentless playing live. Even when you first started out, the same venues you were just doing over and over again, you know, honing your skills, getting as tight as possible as a band. And that, to me, from what I can see, that almost feels like the thing that has made you, you know, go up on those like TRNSMT stages and you're playing those 50, 60,000 people. Would you say that's the thing?
The earliest days? Yeah, well, probably, because when we rehearse, we used to go there. When everyone would go to work, we go rehearsals at like 9 in the morning, sometimes go 10, 12 hours or something, wouldn't we? And just go all day, stop for a brew and a ciggy and go again. And Bondi come down and lived in that room, like stayed in the room, and Bob would wake him up every morning playing drums. And it was just those days where we were sat, because we'd sit in the practice room and plot, and every time we record an album whether it's like writing a song and saying, when this bit comes in the song, the crowd are going to react like this, and we'll plan it all before we've even got in front of an audience. So when things like that start paying off, you kind of realising, oh, we set the groundwork for this years ago, and now it's happening in front of us.
And when in those early days, when you're writing your Home Six and your Rangos and your Kathleen's, songs that are quite clearly made for those big stages and for tens of thousands of people, it's got absolutely bonkers to it. When you're writing them, are you thinking, oh, this would sound good up on like the Glastonbury other stage or Glastonbury main stage or like the TRNSMT main stage? Are you thinking about that at all?
Therefore, even in all the old interviews and stuff, I used to say that. I used to be like, we're just trying to. In our heads we were anyway, because everyone would come see you play in a pub would be like, you sound massive in here. And we'd feel like the sound was big enough to carry across those gigs, because you go watch some bands and it doesn't necessarily get to the back of the room or fill the whole festival, and we always felt like we could with our songs. And especially again when you hear people singing them back and how quick they got to know it. Worldwide, understanding the lyrics, it's just a strange thing. So yeah, early doors we felt like we had really good songs, but not, I guess, to the extent of the crowd are doing it now.
Let's go back a couple of years to the next moment, which is Glastonbury. Biggest festival in the whole entire world, but what happened?
That was the typical Catfish, odd stacked sort of thing, wasn't it? Because we've been in London for a couple of days before, and for some reason, me and you got food poisoning.
I know, bad.
And we were having a pretty rough old time.
Are you making your Glastonbury debut at this point as well, or is there
first time there?
Yeah, well, in 2015.
Other stage, wasn't it? And then of course again another Catfish thing. We're the only band that got rained on the whole weekend, and it wasn't just like a little bit of rain, it was sideways. The audience was sound. It was just all flying directly onto us and in our faces.
Onto the gear. Larry get the towels and all that when it was just chaos.
And then fast forward a year later, you're back in 2016, other stage again, still pouring with rain, but this time you're, I'm assuming, feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
Aye. that one where it was like biblical rain had something about it. Obviously at the time it was like, right, we just got to get through this.
Yeah.
But then when you watch it back, there's something pretty like theatrical about the heavens opening and during certain points in the set.
People are loving it though. The people are absolutely loving it.
The camera's drenched in.
Yeah.
I had a mate at the gig who was going, look at your backdrop, it's shocking, it doesn't even fill the stage. You can still see the wire in the day.
See whoever's on
Yeah, it's like a bath towel.
The reason we're doing this is 10 years since you first uploaded to BBC Introducing.
Yeah.
And at Tobacco Dock, it's BBC Introducing Live. And so you came down and performed for us. Full set this time and a huge set as well. I hear people climbing.
Rowdy.
The scaffolding. It was a rowdy one.
Crowd were wild last night.
Do you feel that Introducing has been a defining factor in where you are now?
I'd say definitely. Even if you just look at the gigs that we've been talking about there, they give us at least 5 or 6 gigs there. So like coming through, it was, and they were massive gigs for us. So just the shows alone that we did live from was huge, never mind the amount of times they played us on radio or picked up on an early song and started playing that about.
There's no other ways to really get an in at some of like the biggest festivals in the world, like Leeds and Reading, Glastonbury, wherever. There's not really any other route to like, you know, just get on the rungs of that without something like that, you know.
So when the team, like I guess the whole team take you in, all the DJs as well, yourself, everyone at the station was all spinning that first album from the off. We put like 7 singles out for us. We were raking it in that,
Doing well.
Yeah, so we did quite a lot of songs off that first album as well, which not many get to do. You only get to do like 2 or 3 singles normally. So like that whole first year with the album coming out and the buzz around, I guess, the Introducings and the Glastos, Reading, Leeds, that was all a big part of it really, yeah. Because that's where the fans got to see us most.
The thing that we also identified earlier on as well was this relentless gigging that you guys did to kind of help break you through.
We had a cracking Google Calendar.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I know. Dig out and frame it.
Yeah,
I used to be pretty proud of that, where like I'd tell you at the end of the year, like we've done this many gigs.
And, like,
how many was it?
50, 200 or something.
At least 200 a year.
Yeah.
Like 250 maybe.
Wow.
It's definitely not let up since then, though. It's somebody, we've not long been back from one of the biggest runs in the US we've done yet, and the promoters out there said, I don't know if you realise, but that's the end of your 19th American tour, not including promo trips and things like that. And that, like,
19th?
You have no idea when it's just, when it is as relentless as you're saying. You're just like, right, what's next? And it's completely ingrained in us to want to do that. It's not like, oh, there's another one after this. Like, if you tell us where to go, we'll constantly do it and quite happily do it.
Said this before as well, you know, when you're jumping into those arenas and you're playing those arenas now, you're playing exactly like you did
I know.
when you stepped out onto that Introducing stage at Reading and Leeds in 2013.
It's crazy, isn't it? But there's crowds now.
Do you ever feel tired?
Ever feel tired?
Do you ever feel tired?
Nah,
Any
not
of
really.
you?
He doesn't sleep. He's like a 3-hour a
You're
night
a
guy.
robot. You're a rock and roll robot.
Charge me up.
That's what you are.
Good to go.
You've gone from playing all those venues all around the country and that relentless gigging at the very start, worked your way up through all the different venues throughout the country to the point where you have now played every single arena in the UK possible.
Speaking of landmark things, that's definitely something that you can't help
It's got
but
to be,
think.
surely.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them like we go to growing up. like
Liverpool, Manchester. It's where we used to go watch bands, you know, and like when we were on stage in Manchester earlier this year, it was like went up to Van on stage, and I was like, that's where we sat and watched Arctic Monkeys like 10 years ago.
He's pointing like we're playing the gig, and he's pointing right at the seat like that. See that seat up there where we're sat and we're chatting away, and the crowd are in front of us. Yeah. It's a bit of a weird moment because Ben's well like that on stage. You know, you're saying before about him being chill on stage. Yeah. He's always talking to us about stuff and things like that. Those little memories where it's like, remember this gig? And you got the whole crowd in front of you, like, yeah, mate, I do remember. I think you just when you're such a fan of music as well, you still stay that. So with playing them yourself, it never becomes like, oh, we're one of those now. It's still like, if the Killers are playing it tomorrow, I'll be like, what? The Killers playing the arena?
Let's talk about the fans actually, because that's something that we've actually not touched on yet, and is a crucial part of Catfish and the Bottlemen. You guys have an intensely committed fan base, don't you? And I think actually nowadays there aren't many bands who can boast about that and have that, but it's not been something that's just come around all of a sudden. It's been like that from the very beginning.
We used to just drive up and down everywhere to see us, whether it was like in a pub in Dunfermline or like, you know. And
you proper get to know them back then as well, because it was tiny little venues. We were doing like our own merch, we'd be setting up our own gear, so you'd like get to know these people and you'd see them up and down the country.
So I think that's one of the things for them, is that a lot of people saw us back in the early days setting our own gear up, playing in the corner of a pub in Warrington or something, and then next thing they'll see you at these shows. So
we're always doing the same thing, and the songs are always the same, but there's something that can change the scenery of what you're doing. Yeah. And you notice different traits about different fans around the world.
And so is stepping up on stage and giving that relentless energy, that's their reward for being so committed to you guys.
Yeah, definitely. You can't. That's why I think we always are giving it our all every show.
Well, Catfish, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. I think there's going to be people watching who are going to need to hear a story like Catfish and the Bottlemen's story. One, because they're going to be in a band right now and are going to want to have ambitions to do exactly the same things that you guys have done. And I think being able to hear that story is so important for those brand new bands coming through. Two, also, I think as well, it's a nice reflection on how far you guys have come.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
You're one of the most important bands we've got, and I'm not just saying that. That's serious.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Legend.
Cheers.
Despite now being an award-winning, platinum-selling band with thousands of fans the world over, I get the feeling that they would do it all again. And having now sold out every UK arena on top of that, conquering major international stages, they seem to show no sign of stopping to reach higher and higher goals.